Good evening, laddies, lasses, and lassos. Welcome to The Click, and I have something to confess to today. It's that you smell absolutely amazing. You were scared there for a second, weren't you? But I can assure you that you do indeed smell absolutely astounding. The truth always comes out one way or another, like you smelling amazing. I just have to bring that point home, so to say. But in other instances, the truth does really come out in primarily anonymous forums online, it seems. That seems to be the arbiter of truth in today's society. And that is why we are going to look through r/OffMyChest, the one true bastion of truth, where people can be completely honest without any consequence to their real-life social standing or anything like that. So welcome to r/OffMyChest, where we dig into the true confessions of random people. Enjoy. Mwah.
Ooh, it's gonna be like little tasty dramas, isn't it? Oh, I'm giddy already.
r/True Off My Chest. I was happy when I caught my girlfriend cheating on me. I mean, that's one way to put it, I suppose. Very masochistic, maybe. I loved her and had no intentions of ever ending the relationship. But she had health problems. I knew that things were gonna be rough in 10 to 20 years' time when they would start to become unmanageable. When I came home unannounced one day and caught her in the act with another guy, I was shocked. And then secretly happy. I had been given a get out of jail free. I could end the relationship and get pity from everyone.
Oh my god.
I remember there was a scene in a series, I think it was Jack Reacher, when one of the characters talks about like, yeah, I thought I caught my husband cheating, turns out he wasn't, but when I caught him so to say, I felt a sigh of relief. That's when you know that the relationship isn't going particularly great. But in this instance, absolutely goddamn, this is the sort of thing you cannot admit to IRL, but oh my god, man. Oh my god. r/OffMyChest. From a former homeschooler, do not homeschool your kids. You are not up for it. It's insane to me that anyone thinks this is a good idea. If you think you can do a better job by yourself than the entire public school system, you're wrong. You can't. If you think you will have time during the day to homeschool your kids and do your housework, cooking, errands, you are wrong. You won't. If you think you'll be a good teacher, you are wrong. You won't. How's your knowledge on 7th grade level math? Oh, you're 34 and went to college, so it should be easy, right? That's how I feel when I tried to do like homework streams and stuff, and then I realized I forgot half of the like basic math, even though I remember the most advanced stuff I did more recently. Oof, I felt that in my spine. Man, I felt old. Again, you are wrong. You are not an educator. If you have depression or ADHD, absolutely do not homeschool your kids. If you think it's okay for a mom to homeschool her kids and sleep all day 3 times a week, you are wrong and you're stupid. Man, this post is really going at it. Oh my god, there is no punches being held back here. Finally, and this is the most important one, kids don't want to be homeschooled. Your kids don't want to be home with you all day. Sorry. Right now I have 9 missed calls from my mom. Wanna know when I plan on calling her back? I will tell you. Effing never. I'ma be honest right off the bat regarding this thing. I have no experience whatsoever with homeschooling. I have not been homeschooled. I don't know anyone that has been. The main thing I have to go on is like online stories, and it seems to be very much hit or miss. I know some people that have written about being homeschooled and it worked out fine. I know other people that have written about it and it worked out being an absolute nightmare. If I try to apply it to my own life, I just remember that most of my friends, like really old friends that I still know to this day, I met through my class and through school, and we clicked and we stayed together. I wouldn't have met those friends, for example, if I didn't go to the school I did. So, I don't know, fam. There seems to be multiple aspects to it. Education is one thing, the social thing is another thing, and also like the load on the parents is another thing, especially in today's economy, where you basically have to be 2 people working to pay for like a mortgage and stuff. So, I don't know, man. I went to a fundy light college, and the guy I dated for 2 years started telling me that he wanted to work while I was homeschooling the kids because it worked for his parents. When I pointed out that his mom had a master's degree in education and that I definitely wasn't equipped to teach subjects like math and algebra or science, he got mopey and weird. I also told him that he wanted 4 kids. Oh my, you're gonna homeschool 4 kids? I wasn't equipped to do so or comfortable with homeschooling. Several kids with very different education levels on varying subjects. You have 4 kids, and you can't even educate them at the same time because they're all gonna be in like 4 different years in school. Oh my lord. I also told him I would be more than willing to work if he wanted to stay home with the kids, and he got very uncomfortable.
I don't know if I'd be okay with that. Then don't ask me to do it.
So glad I got out of that atmosphere. I mean, the situation with his mom sounds like it could have worked out, right? If he's an only child and she has a literal master's in education, all that kind of stuff, then maybe you have all the preparations and tools you need. But to expect it to be like the norm for like a family that really isn't prepped for it, nah. And 4 kids? Oh my. I think I'm watching my husband cheat on me in real time. I, 33F, have been married to my husband, 33M, for 3 years now. Been together for 7. The first year we were together, we lived 3 hours away from each other, and one weekend while I was at his place, I had found out he cheated on me. We worked through it, he moved in with me, and we've been pretty good ever since. I like to think we have a relatively strong marriage, or at least I did. Oh, is this gonna be like the suspicions and that sort of thing, because he's done it before, and then like the evidence pile up and turns out he didn't do it, but you know, the sussiness is already there. Let's see where this goes. Last week he told me that he had to go away this week for work. His best friend back home is having some pretty serious mental health issues and can no longer be allowed to use power tools. However, he was in the middle of a building project that needs to be done, so said friend's dad hired my husband to finish the job with him. So it's like a work trip, but also not a work trip, I guess. He told me he was leaving Tuesday and would be back Friday. Since he left, I haven't spoken to him for more than 5 minutes at a time. Usually when he's away for work, he's calling me 5 times a day, which I thought was weird, but just assumed he was busy hanging out. Tonight, technically last night, he once again only calls me for about 10 minutes and tells me that not only is he now staying until Sunday, even though he sent me pictures of the job half done already, but that he's going to get his car looked at, which is why he can't talk long because he has worked late and still has to take the car in. When I asked him where he was taking the car to get it fixed so late, it was almost 10 at this point, he said he had a buddy next time over an hour away, that was gonna take a look at it tonight, give him a quote, and get his parts and get it fixed. Huge red flags now, because if he was going to a friend's house, he always tells me who, it's never just a buddy. And as his wife, I know he only has 2 friends that still live in that town, and neither of them know poo about cars. We have a tracking app that we use for us in our kids' phones, so I decided to look at that. He got there at midnight. It's now 3 a.m. and he is still there. And it's neither of said friends' houses. I mean, if it's a mechanic friend, I can totally see them like hanging out and drinking beer and catching up after the car was fixed. And it's like, oops, I had a beer too many, better sleep on a couch. I can sort of see that being a thing, but with the lack of communication and lack of transparency, like, yeah, it comes off very sussy. If you knew who the friend was, like by name, you have met them before, you know, he's staying there, you know, had a couple of beers staying, or like, yeah, then the transparency is there and it makes sense. But now it's like getting really sussy. I just know, my gut is just screaming that this is exactly what I think it is, and I am sick to my stomach. My best friend is asleep and she is all I have. And I just had to get this off my chest before I explode. I think I'm watching my husband cheat on me real time. Update. Oh! This is amazing. We get the update right away. This is like when you're watching a really good series on Netflix when all the seasons are already released. It's beautiful. You can just indulge for like 3 days straight. I do not have a problem. You do that too. Don't look at me like that. Hey y'all. A lot of people have been asking for an update. So here we go. Go see previous posts to catch up to the point. So he finally came home Saturday night. I had spent the entire week gathering the information I need for divorce, but what I really needed for myself was proof. Proof that this was anything other than what I think it was. Proof that I was crazy for ever thinking he would do this to me. Instead, I found her. I mean, to be fair, he has done this before. I mean, when you want to make a relationship work and maybe like you own a house together, maybe there are kids involved or like whatever, like life is big and the foundation is built on the 2 of you together, like of course it's difficult to just leave it. But, I mean, he does have a track record, to be fair, and I suppose that's also what builds up this suspicion. When he has that sort of track record and also isn't particularly transparent with where he's going, nah. He claims he went over to her house but never actually slept with her. He entertained her but never slept with her, spent the night but didn't sleep with her. Okay, what do you mean entertained her? Like entertained, like la 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 la, or like entertain the attention. Like, I love the attention of these people, so let me go home with random women, but I'm not gonna jump into bed with them. I'm just here to be praised. Or that's what most people use like Instagram for. You post a selfie picture or a picture in the gym and you get likes, and you're like, damn, still got it. Isn't that the normal thing people do nowadays? No? And I just couldn't believe that. He told me he only entertained her because she made it easy to give her attention. Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Who is this person anyway? And that's when I walked out. I spent the day with my bestie, drank a lot, and I decided for my own closure I needed to know if he really did sleep with her. One way or another, he took off his ring and walked into that house, so I was done. That is so bad. That is so bad. Or maybe he had the intention to do it, but like chickened out last second, or like maybe was too drunk to like go through with anything physical. Like, you never know. But the fact is that he took off his ring with the intention to go home with another person. Man, that's pretty bad. But for my own peace of mind, I needed to get the truth, and I wasn't going to get it from him. I found her number in his phone and the night he got home, so I just called her. Turns out he lied about being married, obviously, and took advantage of a poor girl who had recently gotten out of an abusive relationship and finally put her trust into someone again. Oh my god, and the first one she puts her trust in is literally lying about being married, and now like she feels like a homewrecker. Oh my god, fam. Oh, how can... Oh, that's so bad. That is so bad. He did sleep with her. Slow clap, because no one is surprised at all. I mean, did he really think the wife wasn't gonna like double check this? He has a track record, so now as far as we know, this man has actually cheated twice. He has cheated twice, lied about it at least a second time. Like he doesn't seem particularly trustworthy. And he also lied to the other woman, who now probably has trust issues again, because she got out of a bad relationship and is like, oh, I'm finally trusting someone. He seems decent. Oh, I guess he lied about being married. Great. Oh my god, fam. Oh my god. My dude, you are the reason there are people out there saying that men are trash. Like, unironically. What the hell, man? Come on. Even left her his shirt because he wouldn't be back for 2 weeks. Yes, he was planning on going back if I didn't find out.
That sneaky thing where like you leave a belonging, you know, you leave a little hairband or something, or like a little piece of jewelry or something, or your shirt, and be like, oops, I forgot it there, I'm coming back. But I'm totally not seeing this person. Never slept with him, I'm just gonna go back there for more attention, which was also a lie. He made this poor girl think he loved her, and I am disgusted. Wait a second, how long did he actually know this girl? Because going to the point where you say you love someone doesn't seem like a first date or like a one-night stand sort of thing. So had this been going on for a while, or what's up with that? He hurt so many people with this poo. So here we are. I am officially a 33-year-old single mom, terrified of life ahead. I haven't eaten in days. My body has been a fight or flight for so long now that I'm currently sitting in the hospital hoping someone can help me reset it so I can finally sleep for once this week and my heart can have a break. I'm a mess to say the least, but I seriously want to thank everyone for the advice and kind words. This is a literal nightmare that I feel like I can't wake up from, and the sweet messages really help, so thank you all again. Here's to hoping it gets better. It will definitely get better. Heartbreak like this and that sort of betrayal and knowing it hurt many people stings. It stings a lot. I can only imagine. One positive takeaway about stuff like this, which is more based on studies and statistics rather than like a warm personal thing, I suppose, but when you look at studies about people's happiness and relationships, it basically goes in 3 layers. The happiest people are the ones in like very fulfilling, functional relationships. Second happiest people are people who are just alone. People who just manage their own life and they do what they want. The least happy people are the people who are in dysfunctional relationships or, bad relationships or whatever have you. So actually, in reality, even though it stings now, you actually upgraded one step on this chart. Of course, being a parent makes it way more complicated, practically speaking, but from a pure happiness standpoint, this is probably better for you in the long run. Doesn't make it easier right now, and I really hope you have people around you that are genuinely supportive and you meet someone who is willing to love you for you and doesn't do this kind of garbage. Wish you the best of luck. That must be awful. I did stuff with a man for the first time and realized I am not bisexual anymore. I, 27M, have always thought I was bisexual or bi-curious, starting from reading cross-dressing and femboy stories in L'Erotica and getting turned on at the thought of me being dressed like a girl and being with a man. I have given stuff to men before about 6 years ago. I didn't particularly enjoy it, but thought since it was my first time, the nerves and stuff made me not enjoy it. Life got in the way, never got around to doing things with men, but I have been doing stuff with women. Then today, after having a stressful week, I decided to frick it. Head to a gay sauna for the first time and see what's up. Collected my nerves, went in, walked around, an older gent took an interest in me, and we started getting at it. I felt nothing. No attraction, no turn on. Felt almost disgusted. We went to a private little room, gave him the blah blah blah, and I still felt nothing. I decided to say frick it and let it
and he was nice. Basically didn't like it. After leaving the sauna, I proceeded to delete whatever gay apps I had and felt so good doing that. Typing this with a very sore is quite the experience. Something can be a fantasy turn-on, but a real-life hard no, and that's okay. And it's also okay to figure stuff out as you go along, one way or another, right? I know plenty of people that have like shifted in what they call themselves or what they identify as, because as they explore more, they figure out that either, this isn't for me, this is more a fantasy, actually I like more or I like less than I thought I did. And that is perfectly okay. And fantasy is also very different from reality, especially when it comes to intimate things. I like to compare it to like video games. I am a very big fan of like post-apocalyptic survival games, right? Like zombie games and Fallout and that kind of stuff. I find it incredibly fun, and it's like the freedom of it and the apocalypse, and you get to feel like a badass and stuff. Would I actually want to live in a real apocalypse? Well, no, I would probably miss my shower after 3 days, and then I would die from like an infection a week later. That doesn't sound particularly fun. But the concept as a video game, without like having to deal with the nasty stuff and like having to smell everything and just doing the badass things, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. And a lot of fantasies are like that. You forget like the bad parts about it, so to say, and you're only left with the good stuff. But when you try it IRL, it turns out that it's a whole other package. So it's not always for you, even though you like the thought of it. Like walking around in the apocalypse, for example. So it's something good to take away, and I think it also makes you regret things much less, because you realize that your fantasy isn't always what is gonna come true anyway. So it's just good, keep your feet on the ground or whatever, heck yes. Kissing after a BJ. I hooked up with men who didn't kiss me after it, and who didn't even want to smoke with me after giving them a BJ. I hooked up with one guy who's older, and every single time I did it, he will stop me, lift me up, and kiss me. Sometimes he will swallow my face. The image I have in my head from that is so funny. A real soldier is never afraid of his own gun. Yeah, do tell him, boy. I am so tired of being called transphobic. I am lesbian, I'm happy to date and do naughty things with cis and trans women. However, I have a hard boundary in interacting with AMAB genitalia. Stuff about trauma and family that was really bad and so on and so forth, stuff I can't really read on YouTube, but it sounds absolutely awful, and it's related to intimate things regarding, for example, men. I recently created a dating profile and had quite a few cis and trans women lesbians reach out. When I said I was unwilling to physically interact with AMAB genitalia, I got a lot of folks calling me transphobic for my stance. I am absolutely down to date and enjoy intimacy with trans women, excluding interacting with pre-op genitalia. I literally can't. It makes me not feel particularly good and get physically sick, even though I've tried it in the past. Why is that single boundary enough to get me called transphobic? Why do I feel forced to explain the reasons for my boundary in order for it to be deemed valid? ETA, thank you so much for everyone who's commented. I appreciate the support and not having people vilify me. I expected a lot more scorn than I have received, and yes, to the folks who mentioned therapy, it is a good idea and something that I'm working on. I am sorry you're dealing with that. Preferences are completely valid. I do understand that dating can be really tough for trans individuals, but that is not your fault, and you are not a transphobe for respectfully expressing your preferences. 100%. Even the word preference seemed too weak of a word when it comes to sexuality. Like, I don't prefer one organ over another, it's a necessity. For a lot of people, this isn't a, oh, you don't have Coke, so I guess Pepsi is fine type of situation. Obviously, there is a ton of people whose sexuality can be described as a broad spectrum, but for people that identify as straight or gay, preference is a strange word choice in my opinion. I think one thing in general as well with subjects like this is that humans really like to categorize things, right? But categories are usually just rough estimates. It's not typically a 100% accurate description of reality. You can see this with colors, for example. Like we have specific names for specific colors, but if you wanted to be completely accurate, it would be like, the sky is this wavelength today. But that would be ridiculous and not very practical, because then you have to try to translate that wavelength to what color that would look like, and we just call it blue, because that is approximately right, and if it's a bit darker or a bit brighter or whatever, doesn't really matter. It's still kind of blue, and just calling it blue does like all the stuff for the basic communication that is necessary. Of course, humans are relatively complex, and we vary a lot on an individual level. For some people, they like a bit of everything. Some people are very specific in what they like. For some people, it's like, for example, femininity or masculinity. For some people, it's like particular organs and stuff, and it varies so much from person to person, and that is perfectly okay. Both people in an intimate relation should be comfortable and okay with what it's about. And that goes for like preferences too, just outside of physical stuff, like what you actually do and what you prefer and how you want your partner to act and those sort of things. And it's kind of sad in a way to read posts like this, because I think it shows, if you read between the lines a bit, a couple of different things. One of those things is that it probably is very difficult and dangerous for trans people to date. And some of that frustration and justifiable anger seems to come out in the wrong form in this particular instance, which is sad for everyone involved, and I really wish that wasn't the case. I hope the world does get better than it is now in the next few years, because people deserve to be happy. Overheard my wife and feeling kind of off. My wife Kelly and I, John, have been together for several years. Last night she and her best friend Allison were having some girl time on the patio with a few glasses of wine, a fairly regular occurrence. I went upstairs to watch TV and give them some privacy as usual. Well, the cable went out and their conversation drifted up through the window. Like an idiot, I listened in while waiting for the TV to come back on. Allison was telling my wife about her new boyfriend and how she doesn't even let him get in the door before she's all over him. My wife chuckles and replies, "Yeah, I was like that with X." To which Allison laughs and says, "Yeah, I remember you gushing about it all the time." I kind of tuned out after that. Now, I've heard a bit about X. She left him after he got them evicted for the third time, and she couldn't take it anymore. He didn't treat her bad, but he refused to grow up and couldn't hold the job. I met her about a year later. What's got me going is that she never been like that with me, the supposed love of her life. We have a great relationship, and intimacy leaves her in quivering puddles. What is that? Am I the only one who's picturing like a gelatine ditto or something like that? Like, oh. What is that expression, man? The thing is, while she rarely says no, it's always been me that has to initiate, even when we first got together. I never really thought about it before, now I'm wondering why and don't really know how to bring it up.
That is devil's pee-pee. That's all he had to offer. Of course he was giving it 100. He had no job. Devil pee-pee? That's some r/Satan stuff right there. Heck yeah. I wish that subreddit came back, man. It's so sad that it's gone. Huh.
And I would also say, talk to her about it. Talking and transparency and communication can solve like 90% of things in relationships. It's amazing. Let's see if we have an update of it later on in the video, huh? So spoilers ahead. Stick around and keep watching for the happy or not happy endings. Who knows? I just got cheated on and watched the whole thing. I stood in our apartment on the first floor. I came home early from work. She did not know. She came in some car I didn't know, driven by some guy she knew for a long time. The car parked, I got curious, and then they just started. I watched out the window. I couldn't look away. I just stood there in shock and watched the whole thing. I don't think I will ever get over this. That is so sad. That is so sad. Edit. Guys, it gets worse. We have cats.
No! Not the fuss babies! Not the little... How will they do... No, not the fuss babies!
Edit 2. Don't get me wrong, it is over. I didn't leave the apartment to think or something, I left because I couldn't handle the situation. Also, thank you all for your responses. I didn't think it would, but it's really helping me. And some more context, I am 29 and she's 25. Together for 6 years, 3 cats, renting an apartment together, very loving and healthy relationship, or so I thought. The cat problem really breaks my heart right now, and I'm very slow and writing in proper English. I'm in a hotel right now and pretty exhausted. I will try to sleep and think tomorrow I will have to go home and everything sorted out as fast as possible. This isn't one of those very big posts, but I feel heard now, and I thank you for that. I maybe will update on how it went. That is so sad. That's something I don't understand about doing this to someone you allegedly loved and like, you've been with for 6 years, fam, and you have cats together. Come on! If this is really how you feel, and you feel that strongly about being with other people intimately, then break off the relationship. It really isn't meant to be in that case. And you're just gonna hurt someone and it's gonna end anyway. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad, man. People just don't think ahead, do they? Why Guy's favorite line is, "I won't get you preggo." Oh. I am 20, and I talk to all age of men, 20 to 55, and when you insist on protection, they all say the same thing, that "I won't get you pregnant, I'm clean, I will pull out." An older guy told me he has a vasectomy, so I should make him go because he won't get me preggo. I told him no all the time when he would ask, but I never did it because I was scared he would take it off during the thing. In hookup culture, none of the guys want to wear protection.
I always say, that's okay, I'm ready to be a mom. That protection goes on so fast. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. I think liners like this are so good at like traumatizing people back, right? It goes for anything like irresponsible partners in intimacy or like conspiracies. It's like when people say, "Oh, you don't believe the moon landing was fake." Like, "Oh, you believe in the moon?" Just one up it, then they cannot win. My mom walked in on me doing gay stuff. I am 19M and my boyfriend is the same age. We wanted to try and do our first time at home while my mom and dad was away grocery shopping. I won't go into detail how we started, but let's just say I was topping. Suddenly, I heard the front door opening. I didn't think of it at first as I thought it was my sister who would come home after a hangout, thinking she would be drunk. But instead, it was my mom. She walked in on my boyfriend doing things, and God, it was embarrassing. I remember the look on her face as she proceeded to lecture me about AIDS and stuff. They're 19. One thing that boggles my mind about certain parents, right, is somehow you cannot believe that they have been 19 themselves. That's the weirdest thing when it comes to like relating to the youth or something. It should be pretty easy considering you have literally been that age yourself. Fuck, man. While I was naked, oh my god. Oh my, great parent of the year, baby, hell yeah. She forced my boyfriend to go home as she brought in my dad and lectured me again. She said she wouldn't tell anybody out of disappointment and God having to go through my day being reminded of this certain incident pains me. Brother, what? Number one, why wasn't the door locked? And number two, that is crazy. The embarrassment would be unbearable. Limafau, she has a key to my door. It was locked. So this is not even a parent busting in without knocking. This is literally a parent, like fiddling with a locked door to their teenager's room. Oh, are you actually kidding me? What do you expect to find at some point? Oh, it's the dumbest thing ever. But I'm assuming it's like a very heavily religious household based on the context and stuff. Be like, I need to snoop in my kid's room because of God. God, he really cares about what you do in your bedroom with your buddy. He really cares about that. Oh, starving children? Screw that. God is busy watching you do dirty things. That's what really matters. If that is actually the case, your God sucks ass. Hail Satan. Your parents really, really suck. They are incredibly invasive with privacy. They let their own ideology actively hurt their family members, which isn't love in the least. This is just like hatred and weird expectations disguised with wholesomeness because of whatever they happen to believe in. And they're also like unbearable and lecturing people. You're really gonna lecture a 19-year-old for like doing incredibly natural things with their partner. A normal reaction would be, number one, don't unlock the door. Number two, if you hear anything or happen to do anything that's embarrassing, you ask, did you do it safely? Do you need me to get anything for you? Like at the store or whatever. And then you get probably an awkward yes and an awkward no, and that's that, and then you don't mention it again. Oh my god, it boggles my mind, man, that adults can be this dense. r/OffMyChest. I want to... Our couples therapist. That is amazing. Hey, let's go to this couples therapist to fix our relationship or whatever. Oh, look at that couples therapist. Okay. That's the funniest title I think I've ever had in a video. That's amazing. Okay, let's get into it. I cannot wait. We started seeing a couples therapist a few weeks ago for some issues in our relationship. Mainly, my boyfriend has an adult addiction. His words, not mine. And our intimacy is in the trash. I am lucky if we do anything even once a week, which is always initiated by me. That is our big argument factor that we have been trying to work through. Our couples therapist understands me in a way that I didn't know any man could understand me. Got that therapist riz. Heck yeah. He is so empathetic and caring towards me. I mean, he's also getting paid to be fair. I am not afraid to admit I definitely have a crush on him. I am not sure if it's because I've been so lonely for so long or what it may be. Anytime we're in session, I am completely drawn in by him. We've had to have separate individual sessions with him twice already, and when it's just me and him, I feel so happy and seen. I feel butterflies in my chest. I feel so intimately drawn to him. Man, is this gonna be a thing? Is this actually a thing? Like, emotional escorts? Is that a thing that exists? This feels sort of like that, but maybe the wrong context. It's happened a few times where I, mostly after our sessions. I feel wrong, obviously, but I can't stop now how I feel. I feel like the right thing to do would be to tell my boyfriend we should seek another therapist. I think I would just feel like a crappy person explaining why. Thanks for reading this far. Thank you for letting me get this off my chest. Girl! He's getting paid to understand you like no other man could. Yeah, that's what I said. Emotional escorts. This is gonna be the business of the future, baby. OnlyFans? Pfft, what is that? Emotional fans. There we go.
I mean, there's also a lot of stuff to human attraction. Sometimes it can just be pure chemistry or, like stuff in the air or whatever. But this also sounds like your relationship is pretty much in the dumpster if it gets this intense when someone's just like sitting down and listening for a bit. I don't know, fam. I'm not sure if the relationship is going that great if it becomes like worse this easily. Does that make sense? Or maybe just date the therapist. I don't know. That would probably be really unethical though. Hey bro, how do you get so many dates? I'm a couples therapist. I have a track record of swooping up one of the people in the couple sessions. Ooh, ethics. What is that? Update. Overheard my wife and feeling kind of off. We get the update. Oh, it's beautiful. Wow. Got a lot of feedback. Some bad, but mostly to talk to her, which is what I was leaning towards. Thanks. So we sat down and I told her what happened, what I heard, and how I was feeling. Her mouth dropped and she said, "Is that why you've been moody?" And then she got kinda mad. I will lay out the rant the best as I can. First off, don't listen in. You can ask me anything, but Allison's secret aren't yours to hear. Second, let me tell you a bit more about that time in my life. He was the first person I lived with other than my parents. It was supposed to be us against the world, and we were gonna kill it. Except he couldn't keep his poo together, and that didn't happen. Between the stress of my job and the bills, Naughty's was the only good thing I had, and it wasn't even that great. Yeah, I jumped him when he walked in, because if I didn't, he would go right to his PlayStation, and I would have nothing. My gushing to Allison was me trying to make myself feel better about the poo show I felt stuck in. She took a breather and went on in a softer tone. I have never felt stuck with you. You've always had your act together and took charge from the day we met. It was such a relief. It's you and me against the world, and we are killing it. I am sorry that I haven't initiated, but you keep me completely satisfied, and I thought you liked being the one doing it. You make me feel like no one ever has. I can't believe you doubted that, but let me show you something. And then she took me to the couch and showed me. And then, the camera pans to the curtains and the wind is blowing. That's, beautiful. Sorry if this wasn't the drama y'all were looking for, but I'm pretty damn happy. Hope y'all have a great day. Yeah, I left out some pauses, cursing, sniffles, a few tears, and the wording might not be exact, but I think you get the gist. That's beautiful. We had a happy story. Oh my god, that's beautiful. You see, communication solves a lot of issues, apart from that, when your partner's cheating on you in your driveway or whatever. But aside from that, communication is great. It fixes a lot of issues. Like, imagine if this had festered for a month and then eventually, the relationship breaks because of, bitterness and pent-up tension. But then it just turns out to be this. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Man, this is how communication is supposed to work. I had no idea I was pregnant. So I am freaking the frick out. I know how incredibly soap opera-esque this sounds, but I swear to you, I am not making this up. I was scheduled for a laparoscopy, I nailed that one, today for endometriosis. But when they did the routine urine sample test for pregnancy, it came back positive twice. I had a blood test, positive. Finally, they did an ultrasound, and I am 28 weeks pregnant. This entire time, I had no clue. If you think I'm bullshitting, I am not. I have PCOS and have been taking birth control this whole time. I don't have a normal cycle anyway and have gone years without bleeding before, so I wasn't really concerned. But I just saw the baby and his skeleton and everything. My husband and I are absolutely shocked. Even more, neither of us wanted kids. We didn't want to be parents. Now we're suddenly thrust into the second trimester of an unplanned pregnancy, and I have no idea what to do. I have been an ER nurse for 9 years, and this is more common than people think, especially with women dealing with endometriosis, adenomyosis, etc. Most have been told they can never get preggo, are used to feeling uncomfortable, cramping, bloating, etc. Many of the normal signs of pregnancy are similar to things you've already dealt with for years. Don't let people gaslight you into thinking you are dumb for not knowing. Shoot, when I was pregnant with my first, I thought I was 6 weeks along. Nope, I was 16 weeks. I know you were thrown for an absolute loop. I hope the medical staff was kind about this. So take some time to work through it with your partner and don't let outside voices in until you are ready, because they will affect your decision on what to do. I wish the best for you. Man, that sounds really nice. Wholesome nurse. Heck yeah, you see? That is absolutely beautiful. And I think awareness around this kind of stuff is incredibly important. What a good comment. Hell yeah. Friend's girlfriend is accusing me of having a baby with him, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, wait a second. So OP is pregnant, I guess, And then she has another girl who has a boyfriend and saying, my boyfriend must have made your baby. What? If that's what you really believe, why are you still with the boyfriend? Okay, anyway, let's get into the story, shall we? I had this friend who used to have a very strong crush on me, but never confessed. It was very obvious to everyone around. We were teenagers, grew apart, dated other people, and made our own lives. He moved to another state and has a long-term girlfriend. And I have been married to my husband for almost 6 years now, with 2 beautiful babies. And I am currently preggo. My friend, or former friend I should say, and I barely talk. The last time we had a conversation was when my youngest son was born, and he texted me saying congratulations, and I replied with thanks, and that was literally it. My husband knows about him and the crush he had on me. They have met because we're part of the same group of friends, but we've met his girlfriend too. There's no problem with that. I don't reach out to him. All of our conversations before the last one were initiated by him. And they're always like, hello, how are you? Good, and you, and that's it. I don't always reply. My husband's family owns a small coffee shop, and my former friend knows about it. I spend part of my afternoons there while I wait for my daughter to finish her activities. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law are often there, and my 3-year-old son and I stay with them for a couple of hours. So, last Friday, I was surprised to find my former friend and his girlfriend at the coffee shop. They had rented a space there for a week since he came back to our city to do some photography and video work. He is a visual artist. Part of his team was with them. It was weird, but not a big deal. We crossed paths at the shop and we all greeted each other. They didn't know I was preggo, and he looked kinda shocked, to be honest, which was weird and made me uncomfortable because he started acting as if he was nervous. Okay, then I can kind of see if the partner is having like weird vibes as he's acting weird about it and like, it looks like he's hiding something, but most likely he's just awkward or like maybe some old emotions flaring up like in the moment. I don't know, man. So I can understand the initial reaction, I suppose, but it sounds like the story is gonna escalate quite a lot. They hadn't met my son before. This was the first time they saw him, and although he didn't really pay much attention to him, his girlfriend did. Honestly, it all made me feel really, really uneasy, especially when she started staring at my son so much that it gave me chills. My sister-in-law noticed it too, without even knowing who she was. I was texting my husband about it and decided to leave the place. My husband and I talked about it that night. He tried to give it a logical explanation, said it was odd, but maybe he chose the coffee shop because it felt familiar, and he said maybe the girlfriend wants to have kids herself, which is why she was staring so much. Okay, I'm gonna call it, she was staring so hard at your kid to try to figure out if your kid was actually fathered by your old ex-friend, or whatever. I'm gonna call it, that's gonna be the conspiracy, let's see if I'm right. Anyway, I decided not to go back until they left the coffee shop for good. They rented it for an entire week. He said he could ask his mom to kick them out, but I didn't want to because it wouldn't be fair to her business. That night, she tried to contact my husband through the coffee shop's Instagram, asking if he was sure our son was really his. Oh my god, that's really where it's going. Oh my lord. That was literally the only text she sent. Are you really sure that baby is yours? That is a wild opener, fam. That is an absolutely wild opener, even if you have suspicions about something like that, which sounds pretty unfounded to begin with, if we're getting the full context of the story. That is a wild thing to text to someone, man. Oh my god, you literally just jump into someone's life that you have never met before, like an old friend of your boyfriend or whatever, and you go to their husband and be like, are you sure your babies are yours? That's the first words you ever speak to someone you have never met before? God damn. The text was sent around 2 or 3 a.m. A bit later she wrote, he doesn't look at all like you. So it seems like this woman started spiraling, thinking that my husband and my son is actually her boyfriend's. She described how our baby's hair is curly and light, but he has dark and straight hair. My natural hair is curly and light. I mean, then it makes perfect sense. One of the parents literally has the hair and hair color of the child. That is ridiculous. And another aspect to it is that kids can actually change hair colors as they grow older. I was blonde until I was like 9 or 10 years old. So, if you look at old pictures of me, I'm like blonde when I'm a kid. It's pretty funny. It darkens over the years. So anyway, my husband had no access to the shop's account, so the next day we were woken up by a call from my sister-in-law informing him about this. My husband is completely sure I never cheated on him, because I never cheated on him. Look, we weren't even in the country when our son was conceived. My husband was sent out of the country for work a few months, and we all went with him. This is nuts. She said that 3 years ago, the former friend traveled to our city alone, and she now understands why. Okay, but she wasn't in the city at the time of conception, so that wouldn't even have mattered, right? He went back to the town. Yeah, but we were abroad for months, and that's when the kid was made, you know? God, even that excuse doesn't make sense. I also got some texts from my former friend asking if I had told something to his girlfriend. Like he was accusing me or something. Accusing me of what? Tell her what? At this point, I just gave my phone to my husband so he could deal with them. I also started receiving very nasty texts and voice notes from her calling me horrible things. I wanted to just block both of them, but my husband thought it was better to keep the messages in case we needed to get the police involved. Yeah, it sounds like she's getting pretty obsessive, especially if stuff is very, very easily disproven. Like, it's wild in the first place, right? The fact that she seeks out your husband and asks him, is that kid really yours? It's a really wild thing to do. Even if you had legitimate reason to be concerned, that is not how you open this sort of conversation, fam. Even if you had legit suspicion, this is a wild thing to crack open in that way over a text message to a business. That is absolutely nuts. So this whole thing seems very unhinged, and I'm wondering if she's having some sort of spiraling experience, because this is really bad. On the other hand, my husband replied to her first message and told her he is 100% sure our son is his and that she should take her insecurities elsewhere. She asked if we had done a paternity test and he said we don't need to. She is now demanding we do a paternity test if we have nothing to fear. I could just like picture myself in this situation, just like minding my business, having my little family and stuff, and then a random woman who I have never met comes to me and be like, are you sure they're your parents? You need to do this paternity test. For me, a person who has never been involved in your relationship. What? Direct texts from her addressed to me have decreased. I am staying locked in the house with the kids because we're afraid this woman might do something, as she seems unhinged. Of course, they weren't allowed back at the coffee shop. My mother-in-law also refunded their money because she doesn't want more problems and is beyond angry too. This is also so embarrassing. I can't stop crying. I don't feel in physical danger because they don't know where we live, but I am so full of rage that I can't stop crying. I know the stress is not good for the baby I am carrying. Block them. Block everyone involved. Block them. She is obviously not in a particularly stable state, and your ex-friend seems to be either too in on it, or like he doesn't know how to stand up to it, or like whatever, can't deal with it in a healthy way. This is bad. Block everyone. And also make sure that your address isn't publicly listed. It's pretty easy, depending on where you live, at least here, it's pretty easy to get those kind of informations taken down from websites and stuff online. So those are the steps I would do. Take down all your personal information from online. Make sure you don't have any public trackable info on like social media if you happen to have it, and then block everyone. That's the best peace of mind, because then they will just poof, disappear. And also probably good to let the police know about it, if nothing else, so they have a reference file if she keeps going with other things in the future. This morning, my former friend called me. My husband was still at home, so he answered a call. He said his girlfriend does not believe anything he says and practically begged me to please do a paternity test so she can calm down. I already blocked them both. Good. She's now using other accounts to comment on the coffee shop Instagram, offending me, saying that our baby is an affair baby and I should be ashamed. Yeah, this kind of behavior isn't normal. Like, obviously, being online and, armchair psychology and all that kind of stuff, like, shouldn't be delved too deeply in, obviously, for obvious reasons, but this isn't normal behavior. She is definitely going through something. At this point, I am not even interested in making her understand. I just want her to stop. Yeah, this sounds like a stalker situation in the making, to be honest. I mean, it's good that you blocked her on her primary accounts and make sure that all your private information are hidden online, because nowadays it's really easy to find people's information if you have one piece of it. Like, as long as she has one phone number or a name or something, it's always possible to find a surprising amount of stuff about people. So make sure as much of that is taken down as possible, and don't have like your Facebooks or whatever set to public. Okay, make sure everything is private and secure, and that makes it way harder for people like this to actually find stuff. And then, of course, at the end of the day, it's up to you if you want to do a paternity test, just to like get it over with and get this person off your back. But I also understand that it's not something you would want to do. I wouldn't do it because I feel like, if they're this obsessive, would it even help? Because then they're going to find the next reason, or then they're going to start arguing about, but what about the baby that's literally in your tummy right now? It feels like this kind of person isn't really interested in stopping, because initially it wasn't really logical to begin with. Like you said, you weren't even in the country at the time of the conception, so this ex-friend of yours going to your hometown around that time wouldn't even have been proof of anything. So you already have tangible evidence that this baby couldn't possibly be his, but she still doesn't accept it. So in that sense, I'm unsure if this sort of behavior can be countered with logic, because it's not logical to begin with. So stay safe, make sure your information isn't out there, and I hope she gets tired eventually. And I feel bad for your old friend being stuck in it as well. This sounds exhausting to have to deal with, and I hope everyone gets to move on from this as soon as possible, especially considering it's a sensitive pregnancy involved. Yikes. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you have an amazing rest of your day, because you do deserve it, and I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.